The gendarme returns. What do you need? Yeah, it's hers. She just sort of moved it all in a few months ago.
She said if she's going to make truly radical art, she needs a suitably radical workspace.
And I don't think she could afford rent at an actual studio. Oh, sure. He's definitely interesting, I would say.
His companion's eyes widen with interest. He has a cold smile. If this is what the Union man meant by theory combat, you've just scored a decisive blow.
Come on. It's not that I don't have anything to say about Cindy's art. It's more that I'm still working out the details. It's a complex question. You've got to take your time with it.
You flustered the poor boy. Now he's got to say something.
I guess you could call her latest stuff a sort of counter-bourgeoisie calligraphy. She's got a real taste for radical slogans.
It's too bad she hasn't developed the theoretical foundation to do truly radical work.
I think she'll get there, though. She's still looking for a subject equal to her ambitions. The deal? At a fundamental level, I guess you could call it the shattered bones of a dream crushed by capital.
A feeble and hopelessly mixed metaphor.
That's really good, Steban. You should save that for an essay.
Thanks, Uli. When the idea is sound, the words just sort of flow.
Yes, now keep developing the idea.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not as good as Steban's original idea, though.
Go ahead. The gendarme returns. What do you need? The gendarme returns. What do you need?
Is it getting warm in here? There seems to be a little...
The gendarme returns. What do you need?
Take a deep breath. You've done some reading these past few days, but you also know there's more to life than what you find in books. Now, chin up. You've got this.
Oh, you want to start now? Sure, we can manage that.
You've caught him off balance. The momentum is already in your favor.
Go ahead and take a seat. Since we haven't had time to prepare an exhaustive questionnaire, I think we can keep this interview more freeform. Why don't you tell us a bit about the books you're interested in? and we'll just see where the conversation goes. Aha, a real old-school pedestrian materialist. Alright, we'll play along. So what sort of practical works are we talking about? Cockatoos. Fascinating. So tell us what you gathered from your ornithological researches.
This is a good start. They're starting to loosen up. You feel relaxed and in control. This is a subject where you hold all the advantages.
I have to say, I never realized cockatoos could be so apocalyptic. I've only ever seen the grey ones. It makes sense though. Mazovianism stresses the essential continuity between humanity and nature. So anything you find in one should be reflected in the other. What's the exact quote, Uli?
I believe it's, "Man is the mirror of the world."
These kids are eating out of your hand, practically. Another quarter of an hour disappears. The questions come rapid fire, but you have an answer for every one. Now you can sense things starting to slow down. The interview must be reaching an inflection point.
Don't you think, though, that you can only really understand current events if you have a firm background in history and political theory? Okay, we'll bite. What sort of stories are we talking about?
A real-life procedural, complete with gory details.
Oh, we're getting into the psychiatric pathologies of life under capital. Let's see where this goes.
Yes, I'm rather curious myself.
Now you're getting somewhere. These boys aren't even bothering to contain their interest. They want to see how you weave the threads of this story together.
I'm just trying to imagine what it would be like to wake up with no concept of what money is.
If you encountered it in a novel, you'd say it sounded like a plot contrivance or like a fantasy.
Perhaps. But it's a fantasy that pays for things. Like your hostel bill.
No, it's just like Mazovro. The freeman of the future will be he who awakens in perfect ignorance of capital.
Wait, Steban, are you saying the gendarme is some kind of future communist?
Another quarter of an hour disappears. The conversation bounces back and forth. Whatever their pretensions, it's clear these two have been craving something real. Now you can sense things starting to slow down. Time to wrap this tale up.
But that would imply that whenever you unpeel time, you leave behind some kind of doppelganger in now time.
Good God, have we really been talking about unpeeling time for a quarter hour?
I suppose we'll have to leave it there. But listen, gendarme. We could use someone with your breadth of expertise. With just a little more theoretical background, I think you'll be able to make some real contributions.
Yes, I would say he's got serious potential at least.
And with that, welcome to the most ideologically advanced materialist reading group in Martinez. Here's your first assignment. It's an overview of infra-materialist theory. A little basic, as you'll see, but one has to start somewhere. You're going to fit right in, I think. Come back when you're done. We'll be here pretty much every night after 10 p.m. Do be sure to take your time with the reading. We'll be eager to hear your thoughts.
Hear that? Magnesium. That's what you're lacking. The lack of magnesium has you slouched. Yes, and it's critical. Look at yourself. You're practically devolving into a fish due to the lack of magnesium in your bloodstream. Maggot sideways? What are you talking about? You need to maggot up. You've probably had 2 heart attacks and a minor stroke already, and the only prescription is insane amounts of magnesium. Yes, if you want to live, you need to evolve. You need to transcend the carbon barrier. Go to the apothecary and buy insane amounts of magnesium. It will reverse the damage to your circulatory system. The cover of this pocket-sized volume features a swirl of orange, yellow, and green. The title, A Brief Look at Infra-Materialism, is set in an authoritative yet approachable serif font. What an interesting color palette. It's vibrant, yet somehow leaves you ever so slightly nauseated. On the inside jacket flap, you find a brief summary. What is infra-materialism? A highly theoretical branch of Masovian communism, a collection of mystical ramblings by a discredited revolutionary, or possibly both. This brief look, TM, introduces readers to one of this century's most fascinating and misunderstood theories in a concise, jargon-free manner. The back of the book contains 4 or 5 pages of primary and secondary sources, but you need access to a university library to find most of them. In other words, this guide is the only source you're likely to find. You turn to the table of contents. The guide itself is divided into several sections with seemingly esoteric titles like Effects of Plasm on Root Vegetables and Mental Projection and Transference. There's also a brief introduction about the life of Ignis Nielsen. If you're like most people, you probably believe that your thoughts reside in your brain, right? That's not right at all. Thoughts don't exist in the brain. They float through the air. Your brain is but a fish swimming through them. Very interesting. And not so far removed from Ignis Nielsen's own theories. As Maslow's devoted comrade and leading theoretician, Nielsen was responsible for developing much of the intellectual foundation of communism. But his interests and speculations were famously wide-ranging. During his final years in exile, he produced, among other things, an early guide to home brewing, instructions for raising revolutionary children, plans for a universal pictographic language, and a detailed materialist critique of Dolores Day's chess strategy. A true man of ideas, equal to any of the great DeLorean polymaths. But one subject he returned to time and time again was the fundamental relationship between thoughts and matter. We may yet discover, he wrote in his notebooks, that under certain exceptional circumstances, the proletariat's embrace of historical materialism may be so fervent that their beliefs take form in the world of matter as a kind of revolutionary plasm. Certainly, in essence, Nielsen is arguing that thoughts don't just reside inside the brain, they radiate outward from it. According to this idea, the brain is an ideological transponder, constantly emitting waves of highly politicized energy, which Nielsen called plasm. Woe is right. What's more, Nielsen speculated that this plasm, when it becomes powerful enough, might begin to influence the material reality surrounding it. Hence the name, Infra-Materialism. Unfortunately, Nielsen passed away before he was able to develop these initial ideas into a full-fledged theory. That work was left to subsequent generations of communist theorists. Building on Nielsen's basic insight, these theorists reached a startling conclusion that a sufficiently revolutionary state might begin to exhibit certain extra-physical effects based on the amount of plasm generated by its citizens. Correct, though certain particulars of the theory are commonly attributed to Nielsen himself. The evidentiary basis of those attributions has always been a point of contention between infra-materialists and their critics. The actual theory is highly technical, but for the purposes of this brief look, TM, That's a fine working definition of the concept. That's because this is absolute idiocy, not even worth engaging with. No, no, no. There's something here. You can feel it. Infra-materialists divide the extra-physical effects of the revolutionary state by the level of plasm required to achieve them. At the lowest, or first level, revolutionary plasm is believed to stimulate or invigorate matter without altering its essential properties. Precisely, though plasm does more than increase vegetable yields, it may also influence the physiology of revolutionaries themselves. It's also been postulated that plasm may account for the remarkably full and manly facial hair observed on many communist males. Of course, infra-materialists argue that revolutionary plasm may stimulate human physiology in other ways as well. In fact, reports from the revolutionary period claim that the most radically devoted communards were able to engage in vigorous intercourse for up to 8 hours at a time. 8 hours? There's no way. Your equipment would be mashed to jelly. Hyper-productive vegetables and ultra-horny communards are fine. But this theory hasn't quite gotten strange enough for you. And on that note, you feel like you've gotten the general idea of infra-materialism, enough to carry on a basic conversation at least. But if you'd like to go even deeper into some of the more speculative aspects of the theory, you could always read further. Of course you want to go deeper. What else are you here for? The book fits quite snugly into your palm. It would also fit comfortably into a jacket pocket. Known to his numerous admirers as the evangelist of the revolution, and to his even more numerous enemies as the apocalyptic Shrike, Ignis Nielsen remains one of the most controversial and fascinating figures to emerge in the years of the anti-centennial revolution, second only to Karamazov himself. During his unparalleled life, he helped guide a revolution in one country and found a new state in another. Along the way, he committed some of the most notorious war crimes in an era famed for its atrocities. And yet, his most fascinating contribution to history may be the most overlooked. His theory of ideological plasm, from which his followers and successors developed the school of communism known as infra-materialism. You flip forward a few pages until you come upon a chapter titled Mental Projection and Transference. When a community has achieved a sufficiently high degree of revolutionary fervor, infra-materialists believe that second-level effects may be observed. At this second level, certain hyper-revolutionary individuals may even develop the ability to extend their thoughts into material space and vice versa. According to infra-materialist theory, yes. Under suitably revolutionary conditions, that is. Of course, one doesn't need to be a communist to be attuned to the thoughts of your brothers and sisters. It's become something of a folk legend that during their final meeting, Nielsen and Mazov didn't speak a single word, preferring to sit in silence with their chamomile tea, reading one another's thoughts. One of the minor tragedies of the late revolutionary period is that few reliable accounts survive. Much of what we know of the communards' activities during this period come from memoirs and second-hand accounts, some only written down decades after the fact, and of dubious authenticity.
I would say we share a perfectly average connection for two law officials working a case.
Your words hang in the air as the lieutenant scribbles something in his notebook. At some point, he realizes you're waiting for him and looks up with a tightly knit brow. The lieutenant looks at you evenly for a moment, then returns to his notebook without a word.
Did I? My bad, detective. Won't happen again.
As we were saying, it's generally believed that these effects are only exhibited by certain hyper-revolutionary individuals, generally less than 0.01% of the revolutionary population. Because plasm has never been directly observed, the exact mechanism behind these effects remains entirely speculative. In other words, there's no evidence that any of this mind-reading stuff is real. Why are you getting hung up on mechanisms? Open your mind's aperture just a little wider. You're so close to true understanding. Most infra-materialists would argue that the inability of skeptics to detect plasm is simply evidence of their own insufficient revolutionary enthusiasm. There you have it, a perfectly unfalsifiable loop. The theory is impossible to disprove on its own grounds, meaning it's hardly a theory at all. This should be more than enough for a stimulating discussion. That said, if you're still yearning for more, you must. Everyone knows books save their best parts for the end. You breeze through the next several sections until you arrive at the final chapter, titled A Communism Above Reality. When a society's revolutionary fervor reaches the third and highest level, infra-materialist theoreticians have postulated that the laws of physics cease to be laws. More like suggestions, according to some of the SRV's leading infra-materialists. Of course, it's impossible to say what exactly happens under these conditions. No known society has ever achieved the levels of revolutionary enthusiasm the theory seems to require. Some infra-materialists have even argued that it might require more plasm than humanity alone may be capable of producing. In the SRV, there have been attempts to organize certain species of aquatic mammals, as well as a few of the higher corvids. But as of this writing, only human beings have demonstrated the intellectual capacity for revolutionary communism. There are numerous stories from Samara involving bandits or fascist mercenaries being levitated by farmers from the most ideologically advanced communes. Of course, few of these incidents have ever been rigorously investigated or substantiated. The form of these stories also recalls several well-known Samoan folk tales, in particular the one commonly known as Clever Oleg and the Flying Magistrate. Among known attempts to channel third-level capabilities, the most well-documented is the curious case of Coalition Warship Debutante. It concerns an interesting series of events that took place during the invasion of Revachol. As coalition forces made landfall, a cadre of Nielsen's most fervent acolytes attempted to compress a coalition aerostatic with their collective will. According to communard law, these acolytes positioned themselves at the top of a redoubt just over the bay of Revachol. From that vantage, they proceeded to visualize pinching Coalition Warship Debutante between their fingers, a gesture believed to assist in the extra-physical materialization of their thoughts. The acolytes, along with the redoubt, were vaporized in an artillery strike before the process could be completed. It's been said, though, that in the weeks following the battle, the captain of the Debutante noted an increase in incidents of crewmen striking their heads on unexpectedly low bulkheads. Of course, colorful anecdotes only scratch the surface of what infra-materialists believe may be possible in a truly third-level society. Some have theorized that such a society would be fundamentally unrecognizable, lacking many of the institutions we typically take for granted in advanced societies, including organized governments, financial institutions, and law enforcement.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real? Good. You got the room for...
The same small, heavy door. No lock in sight. It's barred from the inside. You hear the bar rattle in the brackets. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. It's barely covered in steam anymore. Take the legal documents out of the envelope. You take the youth center cuts. The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not... The room behind your closed eyelids is familiar now. The only home you've ever known. Its darkness gathers. The last thing you hear is the wind blowing in through the broken window. Then something comes, a kind of sleep.
Like a deftly cast fishing net, sleep pulls you out of the world and into its dark shore. The rough mesh chafes, tightening around you, it digs into your brain.
How have things been going for you out there? Helped anyone lately? Saved anyone lately? Murdered anyone lately?
This bastard isn't even listening to you.
Because you know you are a murderer. A disco music listening psycho killer who offs poor people and then forgets about it.
Hear that? He doesn't even flinch. Iceman doesn't care about killing people. That's nothing to him. Blackwater, under the bridge. The thing he's really scared of is much, much worse than that.
Don't tell him, sister. It's too bad. We're trying to help you. All these processes, these tortures, voices and tremors are all just distractions, flares and countermeasures to keep you from the last dream. The worst of them all.
The last dream will be total annihilation. Cinders peeling off the fuselage. We won't be there to help you anymore, Harry. We will be dormant. You will be naked and alone.
Of hell. ancient sadness, brother. 10,000 years later, in front of the video rental, there is a warm breath on your face again. Everything is okay again.
Everything is so okay. Your eyelids flutter open for a moment. When you close them again, you sense the light of the room around you. You're back. In 2 seconds, the alarm will ring.
The last thought in your head before waking is, you need to go to the church. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall.
Hello, officer? What brings you up here again? Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer.
The date of your re-entry into the fossil record.
Wow. That's some creation myth stuff right there. Wow. Mythopoetically adequate stuff.
She's a glib girl, but she liked the wording.
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music. I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them.
Oh, that? Yeah. Whoa. The less said about OO, the better.
OO were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course. Like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. It would appear so. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace. A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Don't be. I was going out later anyway. It didn't bother me. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. A window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then. Around 4 or 5. And that was it. No problem, sir.
Yes? A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste. Okay, here. I hope Saint. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes.
The tear machines, your bottles
Hi again, gendarme.
It's the sports.
Hi again, gendarme.
Could he be a member of the Homo-Sexual Underground? Just pointing it out. We're not talking about some kind of cult with members here. You made it up.
The Homo-Sexual Underground? Why, yes I am, officer. Why? Do you want to investigate? Oh, it's a pleasure group. A Sub Rosa pleasure group congregating in cellars under the cover of night. Saturday night. Sometimes even Friday night. Or Thursday night. Sometimes the congregating doesn't even end. It carries on into our daily life. Oh, we're ambitious. We want to destroy the last vestiges of meaning, the last things people in Rebeshul have to hold on to, the true symbols of security. The meaning of man and woman, mother and father, their marriage. Everything will be constantly shifting and moving under our rule. The future will belong to a circus of identities just spinning around, surreal and unreal. You won't even know who you are anymore. Yes, we listen to a lot of disco. Some say we engineered disco to spread our vision of a vertiginous, ever-changing society, where all there is a razzle-dazzle of gold. We are going to change the family unit with all this razzmatazz and finger dancing. And with mysteries, of course the mysteries are also of sexual nature, very esoteric. You can't just get into it, you have to be born into it. One is either already in the homosexual movement, or forever excluded from it. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's exactly what we're looking for. Who knows, maybe you were homosexual in the past. Maybe all of that has been repressed. I have to say that you do look like someone who might be part of the underground. You have that very distinctive, I can't understand what's going on here look. Absolutely wonderful.
A man like you can figure out his sexuality in a working day. It won't be 20 hours unless you want to enter the heightened realms of the Phantasm Erotique afterwards. It may be 20 hours or more, but that would be on your own time.
Bye-bye, gendarme.
The cover. What on this brief look, TM, introduce the back of in other you turn to the table of contents. If you're like, that's not right at all. Thoughts vary as Mezzo during his a true, but we may yet discover. Certainly, woe is right. Unfortunate building on Nielsen's basic insight. Correct. Though certain particulars of the theory are the actual, that's no. There's infra-materialism at the lowest. Or, precisely, it's also been postulated. Of course, in fact, 8-out hyper-and on that. Of course you want to go. The book fits quite snugly into your palm. You flip for when a community has achieved at this second level certain hyper-revolutionary individual. According, of course, it's become something of a folklore. One of the much of what we know of the communard's activities during this.
I would.
Your words,
Did I?
As we were saying, it's generally believed that these effects are only because plasma. In other words, why are you getting hung up on most information? There you meaning this should you must. Everyone knows. Books saved known to his during his, and yet his most fascinating you breeze when a society's revolutionary fervor reaches more like suggestions. Of course, some infra-materialists have in the SR, but as of this writing, there are new the form of among known attempts to channel third level. It concerns and according to the acolyte, it's been said, of course, colorful anecdotes. Some have theorized. Did that book just say there's no place for you in this future? Others have argued that people living under third-level conditions will be immune to such infirmities as hunger, disease, and mental illness. In some of his later writings, Nielsen himself speculated about the potential for an extra-physical architecture that disregards the laws of bourgeois physics and instead relies on the revolutionary faith of the people for structural integrity. Precisely. Nielsen observed that the financial system operates on the same principle of faith. So why not an architectural system? On the following page, you come across a few black and white reproductions from Nielsen's own notebooks. One sketch depicts a government ministry shaped like a great inverted pyramid, a hectare in width at the top, balanced atop foundations the size of common apartments. Another depicts a leaning tower wrapped in a dramatic helix. The caption beneath it reads, "The Tower of History." In the corner of one of the reproduced notebook pages, you can make out the following words, written in Nielsen's distinctive slashing script. A state that has lost the faith of its people has forfeited the right to exist. There is no more. You've reached the outer theoretical limits of communism, and in less than 200 pages. If you'd like to read further, may we recommend a brief look at Occidental architecture? Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I? Yes. It took some convincing, but I got the mercenary's name and a few biographical details. Are you ready?
The lieutenant leans in to listen, notebook in hand.
Okay. Does that mean you're ready? That suit of armor was issued to an Oranese citizen named Ellis Kortenaer. That's E-L-L-I-S Kortenaer. Exact date of birth, unknown. He was signed into the Lelystad County Neonatal Care Unit on 28th of February, 09. He was found as a newborn in a leaf compactor near an abandoned farm. He spent 4 months in the neonatal unit, survived apparently, and was assigned to a foster family at 2. This is what the ICP knows about him. He was raised by foster parents, entered the Eastbrand Military Academy in Vredefort at 17, then served in the Oranese forces till he was honorably discharged in 41, just a year before the Seminese conflict. Then the armor followed him to Seminine, or at least I assume it did. And that's it. There are no records of his employment in Crenel, or any of its other incarnations, or him even entering Revachol. It's a garden tool used to press leaves into these cubes. It's a detail the hospital had, the only detail in these files. So I thought it would be good for you to know.
It is. Thank you, Alice.
None, officer. Sorry.
Even that is a small miracle. These organizations usually double-check their inventory. Thank you, Alice. Great work.
No problem, Lieutenant.
A name. This is very good. Elise Cortenard.
This means something to him, to know that name. Like naming a case. It's important. Sometimes police work is about human dignity, about giving back names to anonymous victims.
I'm glad the inquiry was helpful to your investigation, officer. Did you have any other questions? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a...
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time? I am not.
You could be Liz. You could be anything. You could even be a model.
Even a mod? Glenn, I went to law school. I am an attorney.
Oh, hello, dear. There you...
Can I help you?
The man ponders his cooking eat. You see ahead.
Again? I can't.
The man trying to, can he even see?
Yes? What is...
Officer, what brings you up here in the rain?
It's you again. What is it?
For something, Hunt? Come to tell me to fuck off again?
Right to work!
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
Your race descent has...
Before the cargo container.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And lots of folk really did keep coming back. Sure, mister, absolutely. I'm always willing to help out nice fellows such as yourself.
Mr. Dubois, I hear the meeting with Titus was a glowing success. That's such a relief. Titus can be a handful sometimes. Now, what can Everard Clare do for you today?
file cabinet stands at the drawers. The already familiar cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up. The already familiar cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up the handset. Your fingers run over the dial pad. 005. That's the dialing code for Revachol. 4952. And a moment of hesitation before entering the final numbers. 993. Calling. Calling. Still calling. Then
Video Revachol, 24-hour video rental. You rent 8 and 10mm film for home use. This is Lamy. How may I help you? Video Revachol is a 24-hour video rental. We rent 8 and 10mm film for home use. This is Lamy. Sir, I don't know. It's a video rental. Maybe you rent videos here. No. Maybe you called to extend your rental period? Do you need to extend your rental period? Let me fire up the machine. Dubois. Dubois. Here we are. You haven't rented anything in 5 years. But you still have a copy of Blue Ocean Hell from November 46. Whoa, not a fun film, that one. It's not an easy watch. After the death of his daughter and subsequent divorce, Ziemsk immigrant Egidius Wojcik tries to come to terms with the onset of dementia. No wonder no one's been missing it. Still, it would be great if you could return it to us. We're on the corner of Voyager and Main.
The call is terminated by the other party. You're left with the discomforting sound of the disconnect tone. Aces high. For the rest of the world, the Aces high is just a cool Revachol thing, politically neutral. In Revachol, it still holds revolutionary connotations. Also, have you looked at Lieutenant Kitsuragi's clothes? He wears a bomber jacket, just like the ones worn by aerostatic brigades, and those cargo pants could store tools for hotfixing your aerostatic. Maybe you should ask him about this.
Yes? What about me? What? This? It's just seasonal clothing. Where is this going? Interesting. I think it's called a brain.
It's no mere brain.
Okay, art cup. I do not harbor a sentiment for revolutionary air brigades in particular. Okay, I wanted to become an aerostatic pilot. Then I turned 10 and realized we no longer have an air force. Absolutely nothing.
The revolutionary must have added a little luster to it for a 10-year-old Kitsuragi. He will never admit it, though.
Okay, I admit to it. The revolution employed a more forward-looking 8-rotor design. Their blades were foldable and their pilots were better trained and motivated. I see this from a purely tactical standpoint, of course.
It is not from a purely tactical standpoint. We are not ruling out that the lieutenant had a little rebel phase in that past of his.
Good. Good. Let's change the subject.
The payphone hangs in.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam.
Lowman, you called me at a...
worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench do not look overly comforting.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder.
You can revisit the bench.
Hello again, sir.
The girl keeps her hands folded, hidden. Why is that?
What do you mean, sir?
She knows where this is going. She looks around anxiously. Her hands remain folded in front of her. She doesn't want to show them. The lieutenant stands by, looking at the two of you with little interest, a facade of true professionalism. He is far more intrigued by the situation than his poise reveals. She brings out her reddened hands, her nails frayed, nearly chewed down to the flesh.
And you knew this from me keeping my hands folded? Well, that proves nothing. Anyone could do an easy deduction like that.
She actually is impressed. This is more like a defensive reflex.
You're quite sober.
The lieutenant does not flinch at the comment. He does not flinch even a single bit. He is intensely not flinching. It takes effort.
Because you usually aren't. I'm sorry, sir. I hope things get better soon.
There she stands, swaying on her feet, assaulted by the early spring breeze. She smiles at you. The whole situation suddenly feels familiar. Somehow, there's something you're missing. You have absolutely no idea. Familiar? How? You must have forgotten something you heard again.
What have you found? And also, do buy the books. There may be teachings in them. God, I've told her not to do that. It's disgusting. And I told you to mind your own business. Clearly, you have no idea how hard it is to raise a girl in this economy.
This economy is a mysterious force, like cosmic weather, mysterious and harsh.
She can, if she has enough willpower. This is what's called growing pains. Life isn't easy. Life doesn't give breaks.
Come on, ma'am. It's obvious she can't do anything about it. You are placing an unnecessary burden on a young child.
She stands stiff and severe, silently fuming. 10 or so seconds pass without change. She's looking for one, but there simply aren't any good arguments for being an asshole.
Oh no. Hold on. I need to invite her inside and apologize. She must be freezing out there. There. I don't know what to say to you. My husband, he tries to teach me business lessons. I have what my mother called a dull mind. All this stress.
It sounds like both the husband and the mother treat her the way she treats Annette.
Oh, well, my mother was horrible, of course. Absolutely perverse energies around that person. But my husband...
My husband is completely different, of course.
My husband is a successful entrepreneur east of the river. If only he were more involved in the business we're running up here. No matter. Soon we'll both be off for Grand Couronne. It's a proper place to live. One of the most peaceful neighbourhoods east of Jamrock. You may know it for its massive housing projects. Most of the buildings are empty at the moment. It's a great opportunity to get ahead of the crowds. Better times ahead for sure. He made the initial investment. Since then, he's been what you might call a silent partner.
Super silent. Almost inaudibly so.
Yes, I'm afraid so. A real treat she is. It would be nice if she had... No, we couldn't have afforded more children, really. Not in this economy.
A glimmer of sadness blinks through the well-crafted exterior.
We're quite busy people, you know, my husband and I. Quite busy. Children are a lot of work. You don't look like a father, so I don't expect you to understand. I'm sorry. I'm sure you do understand. She's been too busy helping me here, so she studied at home this trimester. This is a temporary solution, of course. I assure you, I of all people understand the importance of education. She will be back in school the moment the store takes off.
And hell freezes over? Never mind. It's not a good topic to get into. The woman looks aloof. Her features much softer. Occasionally she glances at her daughter's silhouette.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't talk right now. I'm very busy with my homework. I have so much homework now.
You just can't win. Out of the rain and into the gutter.
Math. It's really difficult. Like, really. They say you need it to get rich. Better than standing outside in the cold, I guess. Oh, I found something while you were away. I thought this would fit you. Like, thanks for helping out. Not me. The city, I mean. Like a detective does. Just what Dick Mullen would ask. I got it from behind the curtains. I'm not really supposed to go there. Yes, I bet it looks good on you. Really serious. Right, I have to get back to my homework now. Before Mum notices. Man, this is hard.
Because you know each other. She's been talking to you so openly because you've talked before.
Yes, I used to stand out there all the time. Before Mother told me to focus on my homework. You've been running around all week without your shirt on, sir. Telling people the end of the world is coming. I don't really understand what you mean by it. Of course, you stopped by a few times. You certainly look better than the last time I saw you. Yeah, I can see. You don't have party eyes anymore.
Party eyes? Yes, of course. That makes sense.
I'm not surprised children have seen you running around with party eyes on, he thinks. Not at all.
You know, like a cat in the dark, all big and wide-eyed. It certainly looks odd on a man.
The swiveling eyes of a loony drug addict. That is what she meant. You were probably gurning too.
I didn't know I had to do that. I'm glad I could help you, sir.
Everything's still cool here.
Hello. Let me know if I can... Hello. The cold in Madakwa. Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Oh, what an interesting development. once knew a group of young... This was before. Cool or not, we thought we did. Unfortunately...
Do we really have time for this?
This... Keep in mind...
As the hum grows, not good. Not... There's a growing... Peanuts. Seabirds, most likely.
Gull.
A low...
You know, sure. Let me have a look. Another time, perhaps.
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. You grab the handle and pull the lever up. As soon as the metal connects against the contact pins, you hear a loud clunk. Then, the water lock starts moving.
All right, we can go to the coast now. Expect rugged terrain and drunks. And if you wanted to forge that document for Evrard, now you can.